I'll be the first to admit, no contact feels like crap. However, this is how you can actually feel good about no contact. Be sure to stay to the end to hear all of the good news. This is Shana, just a human in Los Angeles, here to help you pick up the pieces after your breakup. Okay, so before I get into this topic, let me talk about the pink elephant in the room. There is nothing pleasant about no contact. It is one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my life. It makes me physically sick inside, and I might even argue mentally sick. I feel broken and panicked, anxious. It's hard to sleep sometimes. It's definitely hard to eat. So don't think that I am taking this lightly. Don't think that I'm making this video because I don't understand what you are going through in no contact. I will argue I definitely, in the worst possible way, I definitely do. So the first way to feel good about no contact is to understand, honestly, be honest with yourself, is to understand, why are you doing this? Okay, so no contact is going to be basically for one of two reasons. Either A, you want your ex back, or B, you absolutely don't want your ex back and you really want to move on. Be honest with yourself. Because if you can't recognize in yourself what your goals are, then how on earth are you possibly going to address them? Don't lie to yourself to protect your ego, to say, oh, I just want to move on, when really you want your ex back, because those two things are going to be at cross purposes. And if you're really convinced that you want your ex back, please take some serious time to evaluate the reasons for that. Like, why did the relation fall apart in the first place? And is your ex worth taking back? Okay? We all know that honesty is the best policy, but it's very rare that we really give a lot of credence to the fact that we need to be honest with ourselves, because way too often we're just not. So, what is your goal here? Do you want to get back together with your ex, or do you want to move on forever? So the biggest way that you can feel good about being in no contact when it feels so bad is personal empowerment. My goodness, you are doing something that is so difficult. And you're not just doing it, you are doing it big time. You're doing it for days, weeks, months, I don't know, you might be doing it for years. Do you know how much personal strength it takes to do that? Literally every single night that you go to sleep and you've gone another day with no contact, you have proven that you have superhuman strength and self-control. That should feel really, really good. Not just in terms of the breakup, but in terms of life. If you're somebody who doesn't have to give in to your every impulse, to your every whim, you're going to be a lot more successful in your whole life, not just in relationships, not just in getting back your ex, not just in getting another relationship, but in all of your interpersonal relationships, in your work, in whatever other endeavors you have, maybe your physical fitness, your health. So use each day that you go to sleep as a step towards even greater empowerment. Every time you go to sleep, take a moment and thank God for giving you the strength to go one more day within your own power. Number 2, you're not just empowering yourself, but every day that you make it through no contact, you are getting one step closer to emotional independence. Now, don't run away and say you don't want emotional independence, you want your ex back. Those are not mutually exclusive events. You could have emotional independence and get your ex back. And what's more, I will argue that your relationship will be way healthier if you have emotional independence and get your ex back. Why? Because if you are so emotionally dependent on your ex and you get back together, that means that every time that they exhibit a behavior that puts you into a fight or flight mode, whether that means a little thing that just upsets you internally or a very big thing that makes you either fear that the relationship is going to be over or force you into ending the relationship, well, that kind of dependence is never going to be healthy. It's never going to be stable, and you are never going to be fully comfortable within your relationship if you are emotionally dependent on your partner. And so this process of working through no contact is a process of getting emotional independence and getting secure within yourself. Meaning, no matter who your next relationship is with, they are not going to determine your mind state. They are not going to determine whether you're happy or not, or whether you feel secure or not. That's something that you are going to determine on your own. And each day that you make it through no contact, you are one day closer to that emotional independence that is going to take you into such healthier future relationships. So here's the thing. When your ex does reach out to you after no contact, you want to make sure that you are in the best possible mental state. Having these days of no contact is an opportunity, and you need to seize this opportunity. I know it's an uncomfortable opportunity. I know that you are so stuck in this mindset of wanting your ex back that the thought of personal growth is like, whatever. We don't want to grow. We want to revert. We want to go back to that comfort zone. We want to go back to the loving arms of our ex. We want to go back to that security, which may not even have been security. It may have been in your mind. But the beauty of no contact, if you can own this, it will make you feel good, is that every day you are taking steps to improve yourself. And this time, believe it or not, and I assume you probably don't. So how about just believe it? This time is a gift. This is a special gift to you to be able to heal yourself and to make yourself better without needing somebody else to validate you, or quite frankly, sometimes to hold you back from personal growth. This is you time. That, my friend, is something to celebrate for real. And if you are just absolutely desperate to get back together with your ex with every ounce of your body, with every ounce of your mind, with every ounce of your soul, if this is your only goal in life right now, I get it. Here's the good news. You ready to feel good about no contact? Every day that you maintain no contact, you are one step closer to hearing from your ex again. It's true. Believe me, I've had it happen time and time again with my own relationships, that it turns out that staying away, giving them space, making them wonder, making them fear that they're going to lose me for real, even though we're already broken up, drives them crazy. And eventually they do reach out. Do I know when that day is going to be? Absolutely not. I have no idea, and some days, I'm not gonna lie, it feels like I'm being delusional. They're never coming back. Let's not be ridiculous. They left, they've moved on, they've got a better life, they don't need me, they don't think about me, they don't love me, and then the text comes or the phone call. So, this is like the number one reason to feel good about no contact, even when it feels so bad. Every day that you make it through no contact, you are one day closer to hearing from your ex. Take my word for it. Now, I know it may not feel that way, and you might be thinking, Shana, so it worked for you. It doesn't mean it's going to work for me. You're actually right. Just because it worked for me with multiple men does not mean it's going to work for you. I cannot make any guarantees, and I certainly don't know the circumstances of your relationship. I can only talk from personal experience, from relationships that, quite honestly, I never, as in ever, thought that I would hear from these men again, and then I did. And so take heart. It may seem like your no contact is going nowhere because they haven't contacted you yet. Yeah, they're not going to contact you until they contact you. But just remember, whatever you're feeling from your relationship, you're feeling from a relationship that you shared with your ex. If you're worried if they are having similar feelings to what you're feeling, well, did they have a similar relationship to the relationship that you had? Yes, they had the same exact relationship. You guys were vested in the same relationship. And chances are that they are having the same feelings you are having right now. They might be having them worse. They might not be having them as severely. Again, I can't guarantee, but I can tell you from the last few times that I've done no contact, it did turn out surprisingly enough. And when I say surprisingly, I mean really surprisingly, that my ex was hurting as bad as, if not worse than I was. And so, quite honestly, when no contact gets very hard for me some days, and it still does, I go back to the memory that they told me flat out that they were really, really hurting after our breakup. There's some weird consolation in that. And it's funny because the last few times that I reconciled with an ex, because they came back after no contact, I literally made a mental note to self. I meditated on it so that I wouldn't forget it. Shana, remember what they are telling you about how much pain they have felt in the past when you guys were separated. How much pain they felt after the breakup. How much desperation they felt and how it mirrored what you were feeling. And by telling myself this over and over as a note to future self can look back and say, it's true, they are hurting too. They may not be ready to reach out yet, but every day that we are in no contact is going to bring them one day closer to finally reaching back out. I wish I were that fairy godmother who had a wand that I could wave and just make sure that everyone who wants their ex back will hear back from their ex. I can't. But here's the thing that I want to impart. When you go through no contact, whether you want your ex back or whether you really, really don't, the approach should be exactly the same. Your goal right now is personal strength, personal independence, and personal empowerment. Whether you plan on moving forward or you plan on going back, the result will be exactly the same. Own your awesome in this process. I know it's a tough process. We learned the greatest lessons in life by our hardest teachers. A breakup is one of our hardest teachers. Let them teach you the hard lessons so that you can get that A and excel in your life and in your relationships. I know no contact feels like crap, but do your best to feel good about yourself in this process and know that you are moving towards a better future. You really are.